Imagine this. It's 1997, Apple is on the verge of bankruptcy. The company that once revolutionized the tech world is now seen at a lost cause. Investors are fleeing, competitors are celebrating, stocks are plummeting, employees are losing hope. The world is convinced that Apple is finished. And then in walks Steve Jobs, after being fired from his own company 12 years ago. He's back, but Apple is too deep in trouble. It's drowning in failures and on the brink of bankruptcy. And then Steve does something shocking. Steve Jobs doesn't start with new technology. He doesn't launch a new product. Instead, he turns to an unlikely source for inspiration in a place and a company no one expected. Nike. Yes, the sneaker giant, the brand that doesn't make computer software or anything tech related. And yet, what Jobs learned from Nike became the secret weapon that revived Apple and transformed it into the trillion-dollar empire we know it today. But the question is, what exactly did Steve Jobs learn from Nike? And how did Nike's marketing brilliance create one of the biggest corporate comebacks in history? Stay with me, because this story is about to change the way you see branding and marketing forever. Welcome to Best Softwares, where we uncover the most explosive, game-changing and mind-blowing business stories of all time. If you're an entrepreneur, a marketer, or someone chasing success, hit that subscribe button below because these are the insights that can rewrite your future. Today, we are uncovering a powerful secret: how Nike's legendary marketing strategy inspired Steve Jobs to create one of the most iconic brand campaigns in history. The campaign named Think Different. What did Jobs see in Nike that no one else did? How did this unexpected lesson save Apple from extinction? And most importantly, how you can apply this genius strategy to build an unstoppable brand. Get ready with me, because this isn't just history. It's a masterclass in branding, marketing, and storytelling, and the psychology of influence. So, let's roll.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
The story which I'm going to share with you all today is the story of one of the greatest sports brands in the world. This brand is not just an inspiration for people like me and you, but also for inspirational visionary and marketing wizard like Steve Jobs. When Steve Jobs made his dramatic comeback to Apple in the year 1997 after being fired from 1985, reviving the company's products as well as the brand's image and reputation was one of Steve Jobs' primary focus. Early on, Apple was renowned for its innovative marketing strategies. Inspired by George Orwell's novel 1984, Apple produced one of the most well-known TV advertisements ever in 1984 for the Macintosh. In 1997, while addressing Apple's employees, Jobs mentioned that Apple as a brand has lost its focus and stands at bankruptcy because it failed to innovate. Well, if you would like to know the complete untold story of Apple, I would link it down below this video on the comment section as well as at the end of this video. So stay tuned. Now, in 1997, Apple's overall reputation had declined to an extent where it had lost all its faith, and Apple needed to pull out something very magical and miraculous to bring back the brand advocacy and reputation on track. That's the time Apple came out with their famous, remarkable and legendary campaign called Think Different. This campaign restored the lost trust and laid a robust foundation to an extent where today Apple is almost a multi-trillion-dollar company. This Think Different campaign even today is considered as one of the greatest marketing campaigns ever. While researching about this campaign, I came across a video by Steve Jobs where he credits Nike as a source of his inspiration for the Think Different campaign.
One of the greatest jobs of marketing that the universe has ever seen is Nike. Remember, Nike sells a commodity. They sell shoes. And yet when you think of Nike, you feel something different than a shoe company. in their ads, as you know, they don't ever talk about the products. They don't ever tell you about their air soles and why they're better than Reebok's air soles. What does Nike do in their advertising? They honor great athletes and they honor great athletes. That's who they are. That's what they are about.
During this research, I tried to contemplate what exactly was Steve Jobs' thought process while he was designing this campaign. I then began to wonder what exactly was so unique about a business that sells shoes, which is a commodity, that it could have motivated a legend like Steve Jobs. This inspired me to make this video, and it could be the subject of today's episode, where you and me would try to decode the historic greatness of Nike with a spectacular and classic example which dates back around a decade. Now, before I start, I would request you to subscribe for business and brand stories, case studies, and resources. Especially if you're an entrepreneur, solopreneur, content creator, small or medium business owner, student, or anyone who is a hustler, then you have hit home, because we cover free and new business content just for you all. So hit the bell icon so that whenever a brand new story is out, you get notified instantly. Now, this unique story is from the year 2012 Summer Olympics, where every sports brand were keen to sign as the title sponsor of the 2012 Olympics. Being the title sponsor of the Olympics had its own advantage, as the whole world would be watching them, and there would be more eyeballs. And it will also surge the overall brand value as well as the recognition, which eventually would materialize in a lot of profit. So, the auction was held and Adidas spent a hefty $150 million and won the title sponsor in the auction, wherein Nike lost the opportunity to be the title sponsor to its arch rival in the Summer Olympics of 2012. And the first thought that might enter your minds whenever we hear a statistic like this is, what precisely is so unique about the title sponsor that Adidas would pay a hefty amount like $150 million to be associated with the name of Olympic? Well, historically, any brand which has been associated with a big sporting event or any event as such has gained more word of mouth, brand visibility, and overall surge in brand recognition. And this eventually led to a more significant profit and sales. Hence, Olympic title sponsorship was a golden ticket for Adidas to surpass Nike significantly as a brand. Adidas went another step and discussed with the Olympics committee to ensure that they create specific and strict regulations that no company, let alone Nike, will be able to steal their thunder by associating themselves with the Olympics. In order to prevent any brand from being associated with the Olympics in any way, the Olympics committee issued a number of stringent rules and guidelines, which incidentally also included a list of phrases and words such as London Olympics, Olympics 2012, Summer Olympics, Ring Olympics, and many more. You get the idea. Hence, it was made theoretically impossible for any company to be associated and connected with the Olympics in any way that could and would have stole Adidas' thunder as a brand. With all that put together, everyone speculated that Adidas is going to be viral, popular, and will be trending being the title sponsor of the Olympics. But guess what? When the final results were out, there was a major twist. It turned out that while Adidas had around 9,000 tweets linking Adidas to the Olympics, Nike had about 16,000 tweets which linked it to the Olympics. This was an increase of 56.25% for Nike. Well, that's not the end of story, but from the opening ceremony to the closing ceremony and during the entire duration of the Olympics, Nike attracted 57,000 followers to their social media profile, while Adidas added roughly and only 12,000 followers. That was an increase of 79% for Nike. The icing on the cake is that a study which was carried out in the US asking participants, who exactly do you think is the title sponsor of the Olympics? 21% of those respondents believed that Adidas was the Olympics title sponsor, but a staggering 37% of respondents said that Nike was the official sponsor. Well, what does this all imply? Millions of people believe that Nike was the Olympics official sponsor and not Adidas. Now, the interesting and curious question is, how on earth is even practically possible for a brand to obtain more buzz and attention than the actual title sponsor without being the Olympics title sponsor? Without spending a hefty $150 million or even using the phrases, words, and keywords to associate themselves with the Olympics? Well, that's where the Nike's legendary marketing tactic and strategy came into play. Nike as a brand realized that irrespective how stringent the rules and system are, there got to be loopholes, and Nike found 3 of them. The first loophole they discovered was that athletes were free to wear any shoes they liked, regardless of who the Olympics title sponsor was. Thus, Nike engaged 400 Olympians to serve as its brand ambassadors and merely requested that they put on the Nike shoes that they had been provided. And Nike entered the market with a unique type of footwear called Volt, giving out yellow-green shoes to players to wear during their matches and competitions. The brilliant choice of color was a perfect contrast to the tracks as well as running surface, and it popped out to the viewers. The second loophole which Nike discovered was in the clause that forbid Nike from featuring London of United Kingdom in their advertisements. Yet guess what? There are more than 25 other places in the world with the same name, London. Nike therefore filmed their commercials anywhere else besides London, UK. The London Hotel, the London Gym, Little London in Jamaica, the London Road, and all of these locations served as the backdrops for the ads and commercials. And quite cleverly, Nike managed to legally include the word London in all of its advertisements without breaking any clause and rules. Thirdly, and the most crucial and vital one, because this is where the sweet spot lies. Usually, if you have noticed carefully, all these Nike and Adidas advertisements generally showcases famous sportsmen, but during the Olympics of 2012, Nike or any other brand as such were prohibited to showcase or employ any Olympians for commercials and endorsement. So, when on one side, while Adidas was flaunting all these Olympians throughout their ads, commercial and brand endorsement, on the other, Nike made a decision to hire average teenagers to endorse their brand. Well, let me say that again. While Adidas employed Olympians, Nike employed common and average teenagers as their ambassadors. They leveraged this idea into a spectacular and masterpiece which quite literally broke the internet. And just to prove what I'm talking about, here is the ad and the commercial which Nike came up during the 2012 Olympics.
There are no grand celebrations here. No speeches, no bright lights. But there are great athletes. Somehow we've come to believe that greatness is reserved for the chosen few, for the superstars. The truth is, greatness is for all of us. This is not about lowering expectations. It's about raising them for every last one of us. Because greatness is not in one special place. And it is not in one special person. Greatness is wherever somebody is trying to find it.
Now, if you paid close attention to the advertisement, you would realize that the most recognized brand in the world, that is Coca-Cola, also leverages a similar type of messaging to convey their message, which is the feeling and emotion of happiness. Similarly, Nike uses the emotion of inspiration to express its messaging across this ad. Both these brands are tapping into our emotions and trying to give us that subconscious experience in their commercials through their own ways. If you put in a closer attention on the ad, then you would realize that though Nike does not specify the Olympian Usain Bolt, yet they do discuss the spirit of Usain Bolt, which resides in every human out there, including me and you. And if you are someone who constantly pushes yourself to improve yourself, then the Nike commercial is essentially telling your own story. And since Nike was able to connect and tap into that emotion with local champions, it was able to trend. And 1 week after the Olympics began, Nike was trending number 1 on YouTube with a 4.5 million views. Comparatively speaking, Adidas had only 2.9 million views and was ranked 3rd. And in this way, Nike managed to overtake Adidas in this marketing battle without being the title sponsor, without shelling out $150 million, and without really breaking the forbidden terms, phrases, and keywords. Always remember that humans take decisions through their emotions and back it up by logic. Brands like Nike, Coke, and Apple know this, and that's how they tap into our inner emotions to make decisions and have brand advocacy. In this commercial brand battle, Nike was victorious over Adidas by stealing their thunder. Now, as business stakeholders, enthusiasts, and students, we have 3 most crucial lessons to take away from today's business case study. Firstly, If Nike wouldn't have come out of this Find Your Greatness campaign during the Olympics, people still would have recognized them as a leading brand. Yet Nike didn't take things for granted. They came out with the innovative campaign which was a real success. They went that extra mile because Nike as a brand is aware that the only thing which separates from ordinary to extraordinary is that little extra, which is going above and beyond. They emerged as a more robust brand against all odds out there. Number 2, anyone can forget what you said to them, but they won't ever forget how you made them feel. Nike's advertisement is a classic depiction and illustration for that. Hence, if you're planning to pick up something and work on it, then do ensure that it's not ordinary but extraordinary. Because 99% of individuals in our world are good, just 1% are great, and those 1% choose to be great. Every champion and scholar out there understand that good is crucial, but greatness is always a choice you make. And lastly, and the most vital, is like the legend says, somehow we have come to believe that greatness is meant only for a chosen few, and that greatness is meant for superstars. But the realistic truth is, greatness is for everyone. It's never about lowering the expectation, but always about raising the bar for each one of us, because greatness is not in one special person or one special place. Greatness is wherever somebody is going to find it. So dear friend out there, my question to you is, what are you doing to find your greatness? Some brands don't just sell a product, they ignite a movement. Nike didn't just sell shoes. It built a culture of ambition, broke the limits of sports marketing, and turned a simple swoosh into a global symbol of greatness. But what if I told you there was one another brand that did the impossible? A brand that started with nothing, faced rejection at every turn, and still built one of the most magical, unstoppable empire of all time. Just like Nike pushed the world to just do it, this company pushed the world to dream bigger than ever before. Curious? Well, this is the story of Walt Disney, the man who turned dreams into $1 billion empire. And trust me, this story is as bold, just as unexpected, and maybe even crazier. Click the next video above or in the description below, because if you miss this, then you will miss the blueprint to turn pure imagination into unstoppable success. I will see you in that video. Don't forget to subscribe to Alpha Use, because we do come up with business stories and brand stories, case studies, insight and resources similar to this. You have found the right place, especially if you are an entrepreneur or solopreneur or content creator, small or medium business owner, or anybody who is hustling or dreaming. After you have subscribed, please comment below I subscribed, and I would personally comment on all those comments. Also, you can find all the business services, products, case studies, stories and resources in